Should we be trying to win the point from the very first shot? Well, that's what we're going to discuss now. So we're here at the lovely Wynwood Padel Club in Miami. It's the first World Padel Tour of the year here in Miami, and I've been watching lots of these matches this week. And one thing that you notice from the World Padel Tour level, and this differs down the levels, is their consistency with the return. So in this video, we're going to talk about whether you need to hit a Chiquita off the return, where you should be aiming with that shot, and also what your possibilities are when you're returning the serve. So before we go deep into the return, I just want to define the Chiquita. The Chiquita is a soft shot to the feet of your opponent. Now, it doesn't actually necessarily need to be a topspin, flat, slice. This could very much depend on the type of ball that you've received and where your opponents are. You know, for example, if you've got a ball that is a little bit higher, you can still hit a slice Chiquita down to their feet. If they're slightly further back in the court, you can then again hit a little bit of topspin or flat or even slice down to their feet. So it's not about the actual spin that you impart on the ball, it's actually the kind of trajectory and the aim of being soft and down to the feet of your opponents at net. So when we put this into the objective of the return, your return really needs to be to keep you in the point. If you make a mistake on your return, then obviously you've already lost that point and you can't even challenge your opponent's service game. So what you want to do, the first thing above all else on the return, is to get it in, yeah? So from your return position, if it's a difficult serve and it goes maybe, you know, fast into the corner of the glass with a little bit of slice, your main objective is just to get that ball in, yeah? If it's down the tee, again, the same thing. If you get an easier ball, then yes, you can be a little bit more aggressive. And one thing that, watching the World Padel Tour, they often hit lobs or Chiquitas off the return on quite difficult returns because their playing level and ability is so high. If you're finding it difficult, for example, to play with the glass, then I don't recommend going for a Chiquita straight off that shot. So you need to play within your capabilities, but at the same time, the most important thing about your return is the consistency. Now, if you know that you can be consistent with the return and you're at a good enough level that even if they do serve into the glass, you can direct where you want that ball to go, often it's easier to play to the feet of the server because the server is obviously starting behind the service line, they're making their way in, and they therefore have a bigger gap in front of them than their partner, for example. And quite often at a recreational level or a beginner level, the player might serve and watch their serve and not come fully in and get stuck in no man's land. If that is the case and it's on a serve that you can control the ball, then I highly recommend going for the Chiquita on that shot. If, on the other hand, they serve and they sprint really, far forward and close up to net, then you might want to choose the lob on that first ball. But the Chiquita, or a softer shot to the feet of the server, is ideal if it's on a ball that you can do that. The other time I might recommend hitting softer to the feet is on a tee serve. So if you're in this position and the player hits a good serve down the tee, the best option, or one of the best options, is to try and hit a lob on that ball because then it buys you time to get back to your position. But another good option is also to play a Chiquita soft down to the feet because that also buys you time. If you hit a hard flat return from the tee serve, you will struggle if they hit that next volley, well into the corner. Yeah, so the tee serve is another time that you might use that Chiquita on the return. So a lot of the players that we work with, and this is almost more so in that kind of intermediate category where they're competing a lot, they're trying to play leagues, tournaments and improve their level, they're just going for too much on the return, and we're saying to them, look, if you make a mistake on the return, that is an unforced error, that's a gift for your opponent. So, above all else, get that ball in. If you go for a Chiquita and you miss it, that's a waste. You can hit a normal solid ball. So from your return position here, if it's in the side glass, just a solid ball back to the server, both forehand and backhand side, and get yourself into the point. And then once the point develops, it's almost better to use the Chiquita then. So I would say with the return, use the Chiquita if you know that it's within your capability to do so. It's an easy serve and maybe they're not quite as close to the net as they should be. Varying the speed and the height of your shot is so important. I mean, if you watch the World Padel Tour, they do that on almost every single shot from the back of the court. And this is exactly why we've got a course that we focus only on lobs and chiquitas, yeah, how you can be developing the game from the back of the court. So I'll put that down here. I'll also put a video up here on 2 different types of lob that you can use in your game.